Sure.
Hmm.
First you put the podcast on the grill. Then you wait till the cheeses melt. Then you do the podcast. What's up,
Then
everybody?
you wrap it up.
Can't forget the Bev. Never.
Never.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 75 of the Hot Soap Podcast. I'm your host, Zack. Is joined by Mark and Josh this time around. Mark, can you tell me what it's Colin Farrell. I was like, what's the picture?
Yeah, it's Colin Farrell.
Up in the top.
I was trying to think of a good meme picture. I wanted to get the classic Nick Cage picture where he's making like the one face from Con Air.
You should have just gotten one of the many pictures of Liam Neeson pissing his pants.
Okay. Wait a minute. Liam Neeson pissing.
Have you never seen these pictures before?
No.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know if it actually. But there are multiple pictures where it looks like he pissed himself.
Neeson. Liam Neeson certainly pisses himself. Oh, here we go.
It legitimately looks like he routinely pisses his pants.
Yeah, let's put it in the top right.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll make a bottom third of rotating pissing
just
images.
A lower third of rotating Liam Neeson pictures.
Yeah. We can do that. Just add it to the screen.
So this week we're doing our top 10 movies of 2022. We've done it we only did it last year. We've done it the last year. And we're going to keep doing it because it's fun. And, because it's an excuse to talk about other shit. There we go. It's a collage. Of pictures of Liam Neeson pissing his pants. Shout out to that racist. Am I right, everybody?
Whoa. Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Beast. He was talking about.
Oh,
yeah.
Right.
You look up Liam Neeson racist if you want to learn more.
Didn't you stab a guy once?
No, I don't know about that.
He was probably a black guy if he did.
I think he stabbed and killed a guy once.
I don't know about that. I can't confirm or deny that. I just know that at one point or another he was roaming the streets of London with a weapon looking for certain kinds of people to kill. All right? Real story. That's told by Liam Neeson.
Dude, it was the question had nothing to do with that answer either.
Yeah,
I remember
it's unbelievable. Yeah. It's absurd. So we're gonna be talking about our top 10 movies of 2022. Before we start, though, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Hot Soap Pod. It's at Hot Soap Pod on Twitter. Here on the YouTube side, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment if you feel like commenting on it, and then also hit the notification bell to get notified when we post new videos, when we go live, all that jazz. Before we start, I do have an update on our FanDuel contest. Now, we won't have lineups in this episode because of some general FanDuel kerfufflery. They don't have any contests open right now for the full slate, so we're going to wait and see if it opens up. If not, we'll be doing something different. Yada, yada. You don't care. But I will update you with the scores from last week. Which was a pretty low scoring week, all things considered. Josh won last week with 107.6 points. I came in second with 99.6 points. Austin was in third with 88 points. And Mark was in fourth with 84.7.
My strategy of stacking the Jets really did not pay off once I found out Zach Wilson was going to be starting.
Yeah.
And then I chickened out and took Garrett Wilson out of my lineup as well.
I see. Yeah.
It was,
Winning lineup had Zach Wilson, Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, I saw that afterwards. I shouldn't have been such a pansy.
Yes.
I was live on radio talking to a fantasy football expert when the news broke that Zach Wilson was going to be starting, and I just yelled. I was like, "Did Joe help? I have a jet stack. Please help me."
Yeah.
You tried.
So just to do an update here, through 15 weeks, Mark is still in first place with 44 points. Austin's in second with 39. Josh is gaining with 35. I'm bringing up the reader with 32. We still got a little bit of time left. A couple months worth of fantasy to be had because we're going to be going through the postseason. So still time for some standings to move around. Can Mark pull away? Can he continue to get second place lineups? We'll have to see.
It's been a few weeks. I've been getting first and fourth as of late. So
yeah. So just a reminder, we will have one more episode before the year is out, and that'll be next Wednesday, December 28th. Will be the 2022 episode of it will be the third annual. That's what I really wanted to say, and I messed it up the first time. Next week will be the third annual Stovey Awards.
It gets
award
classy.
show. It gets classy. We wrap up the year. We talk about our favorite and least favorite things in sports over the course of the year. That'll be next week. So we'll be recording that next Tuesday on the 27th, and it should be out on the 28th. And then starting the new year, we're probably going to take a few weeks off, possibly the month of January, and come back for our Super Bowl preview, basically. Most likely. That's what we've done the last couple of years. I don't see why we would change it.
Yep.
We will see what happens. Yeah, be on the lookout for that next week. But for this week, we're going to be talking the cinema and our favorite things that we saw in or outside of the cinema this year. And Mark and I did this last year. And Josh, this is your first year doing this. How are you feeling about it? You know, did you feel like you covered the bases of your movie going experience this year?
Yeah, you know, I made it a last ditch effort to get in as many movies as I could from 2022. I like to consider myself a movie guy, probably more of a TV guy, but I made the best effort I could. I had realized I only really watched like maybe four. I mean, it was pretty lackluster. Maybe 4 or 5 2022 movies until about 10 days ago, and I got up to about 25. So I put in a good bit of effort.
You've been mainlining them.
Yeah.
It's been fucking insane, to be quite frank. Also, it's been tough because I want to mix in like the fucking Nomads of the world or some like Oscar movies, which I did get in a couple Oscar worthy movies. And I just watched some dumbass movies too, like a BJ Novak dark comedy on Peacock. You know what I mean? So we mix it up here. So
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. I'm glad to be along with the movie sharps.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, go
what were you
ahead.
saying? No, you can go, Mark.
I was just gonna say I did the same thing as Josh. My movie watching this year was subpar compared to recent years. So I did shotgun a bunch of them. Thankfully, I was able to get in some of the ones that I think would, no matter what I watched, would have made my top 10 anyway. So I was able to get some of the big ones in. But outside of that, it's not going to be as strong of a list as I've had in recent years.
I kind of feel the opposite almost, and that like I watched a lot of stuff this year. You guys know, having been friends with me, that I tend to post a lot of stuff when I go to the movies. I feel like I went to the movies physically a lot more than I often do in 2021. It's just making up the ground outside of that I didn't quite do. I think of all of these movies that I have. Of every movie that I have on my top 15, because I have some honorable mentions as well.
Mm-hmm.
I saw 14 of them in the theater. And that was the only time that I had seen them this year. Oh, that's a lie. 13. 2 of them I saw outside of the theater, and I watched them both within the last 5 days.
Yeah.
But so a lot of my movie going experience was physical in person, which is great. That's awesome. But what that also means is that there's still quite a few movies that I wanted to get to that for one reason or another, I just didn't. So that I didn't see movies like Chippendale Rescue Rangers, right? I didn't see that. I didn't see Resurrection, the newest Rebecca Hall joint that I wanted to see, but it never had a theatrical run, and it only recently hit Shudder, and I completely forgot about it until a week ago. So I haven't watched that. I haven't watched RRR. I haven't watched After Yang, which was a movie that I was very excited to see that I didn't get the chance to watch. I didn't get to watch other big theatrical releases. I haven't seen The Black Phone. I haven't seen Bullet Train. There's a couple other ones, a couple streaming exclusive ones that I didn't see. I didn't see Fresh. I didn't see Hustle. I haven't seen. I still haven't seen Nope. as well. I haven't
Me
seen.
neither.
I still haven't. I'm excited because I'll be going to see it this weekend or probably next week, most likely. But Noah Baumbach's new film, White Noise, haven't had the opportunity to see it because it hasn't played
I forgot
in theaters.
about that.
It hasn't played in theaters anywhere outside of bigger cities, and it hasn't hit. It doesn't hit Netflix until like next week. So, but it's hitting, our local, the Little. Shout out to the Little here in Rochester. It's hitting that this weekend. So hopefully I'll be able to see that soon. But it won't, and it will factor into my list if you follow me on Letterboxd, for example, at Zack Nunez on Letterboxd. If I see it and I love it, it'll get added to the list. It just won't be on this episode because I haven't seen it yet. This upcoming year, I'm gonna try and commit myself a little bit more to making up that ground outside of the theater. And I'm also going to be trying to go to one of the big film festivals this upcoming year. Like that's my movie resolution for 2023. Sundance is out of the question. What'd you say?
Are we going to South by?
South by would be fun. I was more so looking at TIFF personally in September. Yeah, it's in Toronto.
Oh, okay. That's way more doable.
Either TIFF or New York. Those are two big premier spots for a lot of end of the year stuff. Sundance is a little bit is obviously out of the question. It's only like 2 weeks away. So
let's do it. I think we got it.
Which I am upset about because Neon only announced like a week ago that one of the movies premiering at Sundance is the new Brandon Cronenberg film. Alexander Skarsgård and Mia Goth, which the trailer looks absolutely awesome. It's really cool for annoying people like me. It hits theaters in a couple weeks. It's called Infinity Pool. I'm very excited to see it. I will be seeing it when it comes out, 100%. But that's another thing that I want to do is I want to keep expanding my horizons a little bit. And I think that this list that I have this year is reflective of that. I think there's a lot of things on here that would have seemed out of place even last year. Because I saw some weird shit this year. I saw some weird shit that I really liked. I really liked some things that I don't necessarily I wouldn't have necessarily thought that I would have liked. And I'm really happy that I've seen, all these movies, and I feel like I have a good list to show for it. So before we get started proper, I've already mentioned that I do. I don't assume that Josh does. Mark, do you have any honorable mentions in movies that
I've got 3? Yeah.
Cut? Okay. Why don't you hit me with those? Let's go for it.
One of them, this movie got a lot of hate, and I don't understand why. And it is my lone Marvel submission, and that's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I'm not going to sit here and say it's great. And like I said, I didn't see that many movies this year. Just looking at things I haven't seen yet. I haven't seen Fablemans. I haven't seen Avatar. I haven't seen Tar. I haven't seen The Whale. I haven't seen Hustle, The Northman, Barbarian, Nope. There's a lot of stuff I haven't seen yet that when we, Nunez, if we're doing another Oscar stream this year, I will have seen all of those by then. But Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, I actually just rewatched this a few weeks ago. I still think it's pretty good. It's a Sam Raimi movie. It is very much a Sam Raimi movie. And if you're like me and like Sam Raimi and like his visual style and like the way he directs movies, I think it works. I think it works really well. In the modern superhero age, I think the horror stuff he did with Wanda was cool. So to me, that's one of my honorable mentions. My other 2 are X, which the more I think about X, the more I actually like it. It's very much not my normal cup of tea when it comes to movies. I don't, love the sort of out there horror stuff that much. I'm not like Nunez, the horror aficionado over here. But X was damn good. I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to watching Pearl. I haven't watched that yet either, and I've heard it's better, but I will watch it. And my number 11 is Nunez, one you mentioned earlier. That's Chippendale Rescue Rangers. This movie, it's absolutely delightful. It's awesome. I love it.
Hell yeah.
There's a couple of jokes in there. One that is coming to mind specifically that has a great cameo that is so out there and not something you expect to see It worked so perfectly. Andy Samberg just gives the Lonely Island guys, like, let them do whatever they want. Any movie they want to make, let them make it. They're all good.
They did that, and then it flopped at the box office and never let them touch it again. After
We're talking about Popstar.
yeah.
My sister just dropped off a Christmas cookie to me, by the way.
Shout out.
Hell yeah. Shout out. Sister.
Unless it sucks, in which case, no shit.
It's a good cookie.
All right, that's good. Shout out.
It just exploded all over me.
Yeah, but Popstar's amazing. I mean, Popstar's
I love
hilarious.
I saw it on my 18th birthday. I mean, it was
Popstar rules.
Popstar is fucking great. So just let these guys do whatever the hell they want. I never expected Chippendale Rescue Rangers to be like that pleasant of a surprise. I thought it was awesome. I was a big fan.
Yeah, I'm excited to get around to it when I eventually do. Like I would like to watch the movie at some point. I would also, speaking of another animated movie, I'd like to get around to watching Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe, because I heard that was a lot of fun too.
I heard that was good too. And I liked Beavis and Butthead when I was a kid, but I heard that this is like even better. It's just like an improvement on Beavis and Butthead. So hey.
All right.
I'll go before you, Zach. I'm sure yours are much more quality. I've got 3 really quick that I'll mention. I mentioned it earlier. Vengeance, the BJ Novak Johns, is directed by him, and it's kind of like if he made a movie and then was like, they were like, all right, cool, this sounds good. Like who's gonna lead? And he's like, well, I'm gonna be the lead guy. And they were like, oh, right, cool, sure. Because the acting from him in this, I'm not buying it. No good. It actually hurt it for me. But the story's fine, and it's really a telling story about modern, views in America. Some city liberal goes to Texas, and whatever. Then the other one I had that I actually was the most recent watch for the list. Just summer blockbuster to a T. Uncharted. With Tom Holland and them. I actually liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to. I've played the first game of Uncharted, and so I was looking forward to it. And it was good. It was good. It's just like classic. Like I had no expectations other than like, oh, this is just gonna be like it's gonna rock because it's just action blockbuster, whatever. Mark Wahlberg's in it. Fine. It's cool. Good. And then Mad God. This was one that I watched. This is not an honorable mention in a good way, by the way. This is a negative honorable mention that I was watching. This is when we talked about the horror film episode potentially for the Halloween. I raced
that we never did, and I would like to revisit that. Maybe when like I said, we're taking the time off in January.
Yeah.
Maybe we can record that at some point during.
Yeah,
that sounds good. That sounds good because I watched this one with Austin and a whole bunch of the. I mean, what a fucking shit show. I had no clue what was going on for about an hour. I don't even know what to say. Unless you've seen the movie, I don't even know how to describe it to you. It's like a stop motion claymation thing. It's wild. Yeah. Those are my 3.
Legend Stan Winston is one of the great special effects artists of all time.
Oh.
All right. Well, I've got 5 honorable mentions, and Mark, I don't know if you have any, but afterwards, I would like to get in some dishonorable mentions that I have for the year.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know if you have any. I've got a couple.
I've got a couple that I can throw in there.
My sister just sent me a picture. It's very important that I show this on the podcast. Give me a second. Share screen. My mom got powdered sugar on my dog.
Oh.
Wait, give me 1 second. I should be able to show it better.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just showed the world my texts.
I wasn't even thinking about that. My bad.
That's fine. There we go. I'll just share my whole screen.
I'll blur it in post.
Yeah, I'll blur it in post.
See my screen?
Yeah.
You see the white specks all over her face?
Oh, yeah.
I've got powdered sugar all over my dog's head.
I love the chat.
I was going to say the private chat was up.
The chat in the side.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's fine.
Hell yeah. No, it's good. I like it. They don't know who that is.
So anyways, I got 5 honorable mentions. this year. Fall into a bunch of different categories. Let's get into it, right? First is Crimes of the Future, David Cronenberg's most recent film that I thought was good, and I have grown to like it a little bit more having since seen it. I do think that what's keeping it from being great is the fact that it very much feels unfinished. Like it to me, it felt like the end of the film was the start of the real story of the film. But I will say that the hour and 40 minutes of world building that preceded are fascinating and remarkable. And there's some really interesting things to be asked, as per usual, with a Cronenberg film about humanity and what we do with our bodies and what we consume, yada, 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 whole thing, right? Surgery is the new sex. That's what they say in the movie a bunch, blah, 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 right? Good movie. Next one, a series of 2 whodunits that I saw this year that I liked. First being See How They Run, with Sam Rockwell and Saoirse Ronan. I saw it kind of on a whim, and it was an absolute delight.
I'm so mad I haven't seen that one yet. I'm going to see it, but
I had so much fun watching that movie. And is it really, really, really meta? Yeah, it's about a detective who is investigating the murder of a film director who was set to direct an adaptation of an Agatha Christie play that was based on an Agatha Christie book that then turned into a murder in the same way that the book played out, of course, because that's how it goes. And then Agatha Christie as a character in the film, spoiler, sorry, it's not much of a spoiler. It's a whole thing. But it's very, very, very meta about the way that murder mysteries play out. And it's fun. And you should watch it. Adrian Brody is really funny in it for like the 15 minutes that he's in the movie.
Love a random Adrian Brody appearance.
Well, I would say random, but he is the prince. He's the guy that gets murdered. He's the crux.
I just mean random in terms of whenever every Adrian Brody appearance feels like a random one these days. So,
yeah. The other one is the A24 murder mystery for Gen Zers, and that's Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I had a lot of fun watching it, and I was enjoying it, and then the ending happened. And that's a good thing, because the ending and the twist that happens at the end of the movie is genuinely one of the funniest things I've seen in the movie all year. And it made the experience that much better. Obviously, I won't say anything of what happened. Is the satire super duper sharp? Not really. Are all the characters unlikable? Yeah, kinda. But also, like, it was a lot of fun, and there was plenty of laughs to be had, and it was fun watching rich early 20 somethings try to figure out who killed one of their friends.
Gave me at least the trailers gave me similar vibes to Ready or Not.
That's a movie I have not seen, so I couldn't tell you.
Okay. Ready or Not's great. If you like I said, the trailer just gave me similar vibes, but I think you would really like Ready or Not.
But yeah, Bodies, 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 lots of fun. Speaking of lots of fun, one of my favorite theater experiences of the year was when it was back in February. I saw Jackass Forever opening weekend when that came out, and it was, like I said, one of the most fun times I had at the movies this year. I saw it with a packed house opening weekend, and to relive some olden days of bits and gags that I'm sure a lot of the people in the theater, myself included, kind of grew up on. But watching them do it while older and slightly wiser was a lot of fun, and it was a great experience. And they did a really good job of weaving some heart into it about the legacy of the show and what it means for them and for pop culture as well. And it was a lot of fun. I had a great time watching it, and I recommend that people see it. My final honorable mention is a movie that I saw that is now since gone viral in the horror TikTok community. From some reasons that, I don't know how people were watching this movie, because I saw it at the United States premiere of the film here in Rochester, New York, as part of the Anomaly Film Festival
Mm.
at the Little. And that movie is a little Canadian film called Skinamarink. It is a horror film, and I won't go too much into what it's about, but basically 2 kids wake up in a house and their parents are gone, and there is something in the house that is stealing not only their toys, but the doors and the windows in the house as well are vanishing.
Oh.
And it is, and I say this in no uncertain terms, one of the most terrifying theater experiences I have ever had in my life. The movie is very experimental in its presentation, largely filming floors and ceilings and corners of rooms. There's not a single face of a character shown throughout the entire film. And most of the audio sounds like it's coming from a TV circa 1932. But when I tell you that on a base textural level, it's very stimulating, and not necessarily thematically, but the way that I have to look up the director's name. Give me 1 second. The way that Kyle Edward Ball decides to film the movie and frame his characters and the situations that they are in is genuinely, again, one of the most unnerving movie experiences I have ever had in my life. There were real points watching it where I was like rubbing my eyes a lot because I didn't want to look at the screen, and I wanted to be doing something that wasn't that. And I went and saw it with a friend, and I told him afterwards that at some point the movie is quite slow to get started, and I can understand, you know, people calling it pretentious and yada yada, and it kind of is, but that's beside the point. At some point, about 35 minutes through the movie, something happens, and I told him that from that point on, the last hour or so of the movie, the only thing I was thinking to myself was, I'd rather not be watching this right now. I'd rather be doing just about anything else other than watching the rest of this movie. I don't want to do this anymore. Please let me out of the theater. I for someone who's interested in some genuinely experimental analog horror that I thought was really effective, check it out. I don't know as if I don't believe it's available digitally anywhere, which
it's
is
not
why
even. I looked it up on IMDb, and it hasn't even officially been released yet. It doesn't get officially released until January.
Correct. And it's not an official like wide US release. It's one night only in Cinemark theaters on January 13th. That was just announced today. So it is getting US distribution later this month. But I was fortunate enough to see the US premiere back in October. And it was a really cool experience and genuinely one of the most interesting and legitimately scary movies I have seen in a very, very long time. So well deserves an honorable mention on my list. Now, Mark, I don't know if you have any, but I do have a couple of movies that I would like to mention for the other end of this list, and that would be my dishonorable mentions. I'm not saying all these movies are bad. Most of them are.
Yeah.
But there's a couple that, of course, just really disappointed me. The biggest one I got two really that really disappointed me. One of them was Lightyear. Pixar's Lightyear. Not that I had the highest hopes for it, and not that I thought it was bad. The movie is perfectly serviceable. It's a movie. But it's like so painfully mid that like that upsets me even more with one of my favorite movie characters ever than being aggressively bad. Like it's just so there. It exists. That was very disappointing. The other one would be Alex Garland's Men with Jesse Buckley. A movie that, again, I thought was fine. I've soured on it more thinking about it after I've seen the movie. I think it takes some really cool and interesting twists in the last 15 or 20 minutes, but the ride to get there, while visually and technically stunning, is quite tedious and doesn't quite provide much to really latch on to. And from a director whose first two films I really did love. I don't love Ex Machina quite the way that a lot of people do, but Annihilation is one of my favorite movies of the last decade or so.
I love both of those movies. And he wrote
Um,
Sunshine, which is also an amazing movie.
The movie it disappointed me. I have two more that really apply in the bad category. One of them is Morbius, because of course it has to be there. It's one of the worst movies legitimately one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It's the only time as an adult that I've ever fallen asleep in a movie theater. Not a joke. I did fall asleep while watching Morbius. I hated it, and I did a whole rant on it on a podcast that never came out. And I'm still upset about it because I went on for like 45 minutes about how terrible that movie was. And it will never see the light of day. But truly, Morbius sucks. Don't watch it. It's not even fun. And then the other one that gets my pseudo-Christian inspirational award of the year would be Rescued by Ruby. I don't know if this is a movie you've heard of, but I watched it because
I looked it up because you mentioned it.
Yeah, Rescued by Ruby.
I got to get the poster. It's the worst. It's the worst film poster of all time.
Yeah, it's a movie that my mom watched, and I happen to have watched with her because my mom likes watching Jesus movies sometimes, and it's not really a Jesus movie. I keep saying that. It's a Jesus movie, and I didn't see until this year, but it still sucks. American Underdog, the Kurt Warner movie with Zachary Levi. That movie was booty. But this movie, Rescued by Ruby, is about a guy who strikes up a friendship with a dog, and that's it. And that's the movie. There's a dog and a guy, and he's a cop.
Shit poster, man.
And the dog is a narc, and the dude sucks. And the worst part about the movie is that there's legitimately, and I'm not kidding, like 25 minutes to a half an hour of the footage in the film is dog POV shots. It's so annoying. It's incessant. It's awful to look at. I hate it so much. The fact that legitimately like 10% of the movie is wasted on putting a GoPro on the back of a German Shepherd annoys me to my core. I hate it so much. I hate it. I hated watching it. I was annoyed. I didn't like it.
Oh,
movie sucks.
Just wanted to get your Letterboxd review up here.
Yeah, 1 out of 10. I gave it 1 out of 5 stars. I should probably lower that to half. But if I see one more dog POV shot, I'm going to have an aneurysm, and I stick by that because it was the most annoying thing I saw at the movies this year, and I saw Morbius. Right?
The last time I saw a dog POV, I had to wipe my hard drive after.
Jesus.
Boo.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'll hop in real quick for mine since we're talking dogs. I just real quickly. I know I said Mad God was terrible. I couldn't make it through the entire movie for this one. I mentioned it earlier. Disclaimer: not homophobic. The movie just sucked. Bros was fucking terrible. It was really bad. I don't know what else to say. Judd Apatow. I was like, you know what? It's got Judd Apatow. I like him. I really like Billy Eichner. I wanted to like the movie, and I just couldn't get into it. And sure, I just, you know what? No, it was just bad. It's not a gay thing. I like gay people. I like being gay. I do gay stuff. I tell Mark that all the time.
This is true.
So it's not that. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what you want from me, people. Movie stunk.
I had 2 that I was going to mention. One was the mention for the worst movie that I did not see, and that was going to go to Morbius. So you mentioned it. The worst movie I saw this year, and God, I wish Letterboxd didn't have so many fucking ads on their website. Was this?
Oh God, I skipped that one.
Them.
I saw that online the other day. I thought it was a joke. Is that Kevin? I was like Kevin Bacon in it.
Yeah, that is Kevin Bacon. It's a Peacock exclusive horror film.
I watched this. Campers in an LGBTQ conversion camp endure unsettling psychological techniques while the campsite is stalked by a mysterious killer.
How unsettling are the psychological techniques?
It's everything about this movie is unsettling just because this movie got made. The fact that this movie exists is unsettling. It was horrible. That movie was so
Are they
bad.
actually queer actors, or do they like?
I don't know, man.
Well, I mean, I just want queer inclusion in acting. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I skipped. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I skipped that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I watched it. Do not watch it. It's absolutely horrible. I haven't done a Letterboxd review for that one yet. I should.
All right. Well, it's time to get into the list proper here. We'll keep the rotation as usual, which means we'll start with Josh, then go to Mark, then go to myself.
Just doing 10, one at a time. 10.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Just go through the list.
Sounds
like
good.
that. Josh, why don't you start? What's your number 10 movie of 2022?
Thank you. So, I was debating. 10 was the hardest one. I told you guys. Where do I start with 10? What gets the kibosh and doesn't get involved? The kibosh was given to all the Marvel movies. I was gonna pick my favorite and put him there at 10. Didn't do it. Instead, I went with another pulling on the old love bangers. I don't know. I'm losing it. I went with Jurassic World Dominion for my 10. I thought the nostalgia here was great. Let's be clear here. This movie list is not, who's gonna win the best things. This is what I like the most. This is a good one.
That's the whole point. I hate to interject. I'm sorry, Josh. That's the whole point of the list.
Right,
I do not want objectivity.
No. All right. Cool.
I want you to know what your favorite movies of the year were.
Cool. Then yes. This is number 10. I watched with Pops. Pops was really into it. That probably has something to do with this, but good watch experience. And I'd be remiss to include this and not discuss Jessica Chastain's Dumper. But respectfully,
that's strange because it's not Jessica Chastain. It's Bryce Dallas Howard.
Oh fuck yeah, the other hot ginger. You were right. Respectfully,
much larger dumper on Bryce Dallas Howard.
That's right. Well. Yeah, I'd hit, but also Laura Dern's in that movie, so also I'd hit. Great,
big win for us, Laura Dern.
All right, Mark, why don't you give us number 10? I'm gonna run and refill my water bottle while you do so. I will be listening.
I'd hit the Velociraptor. We keep going. I mean,
Blue.
Dude.
Come on, man.
Get that fine ass over here, Blue. Put a muzzle on. Make sure.
Sam Neill? Are you kidding me?
Sammy boy, come on now.
Talk about it. Him and Goldblum. Talk about a couple of silver foxes. I mean, I actually didn't even think about that movie. I like that movie too. It's not great, but I did enjoy it. My number 10 is a movie that I did expect to like, but I don't think I expected to like it as much as I did. And that's The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, the Nick Cage movie where he plays himself.
Sure.
With Pedro Pascal. I thought this movie was delightful. I thought their chemistry was great. Nick Cage just going all out is one of my favorite things. And he always goes all out. But when he gets like really weird and funny with it, I think he's great. Nick Cage is a great actor who just had terrible decision making for 15 years. He's awesome in this movie. Pedro Pascal is great. The movie, it's such a fun ride from start to finish. I thought it was really funny. Pedro Pascal, between this and it's a horrible movie, but I really liked him in Wonder Woman 1984. I love when he does these sort of out there all over characters. Big fan of Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Yeah, it's another movie I have not seen.
I just recently watched it. I haven't even put it on my Letterboxd yet. I just watched it a couple of days ago, but it was really good.
All right, number 10 for me. It's a similar, well, not similar, but it's a comedy route. I think this is the one of a couple comedic entries in the old top 10 here, and this one is a pretty sharp satire. That'll be a movie I saw a couple weeks ago at the old cinema. And I thought it was just a really fun ride, blending a bunch of genres together, and I had some pretty sharp critiques on rich people and food culture. And that would be The Menu. Ralph Fiennes is absolutely fantastic. Anya Taylor-Joy, Hong Chow, the whole ensemble is really fun. John Leguizamo is hilarious.
Love Johnny Lasagna
as like a washed actor basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that it was a really fun time. There was some pretty unexpected twists with the way that the movie was going throughout the middle portion of it. it kind of reaches a conclusion that you might assume, but the way that it gets there is a lot of fun and quite unpredictable, and it's funny. It has good jokes in it. It has unlikable characters the kinds of unlikable characters you want to see in a satire like this. It's really clever. It's really well written. And yeah, The Menu. I really enjoyed it. It's definitely a movie that I would love to just like throw on, and it's a good movie to watch like when you're hanging out with friends or something like that, because it's a fun ride. I had a really good time watching it. The Menu. Shout out.
Awesome. Also, respectfully, Anna Taylor-Joy. Respectfully.
Respect.
My number 9 here. We talked about it in the group chat. It's probably gonna be surprised to see it on the list, but I didn't see a lot of movies, and I actually didn't hate it until I heard all the shit about it. I liked the movie, and then when people were like, "Yeah, but that sucked," and I go, yeah, I guess that did kind of suck, and it was kind of slow, and it was boring. Really, what like once I heard all the shit, I'm like, yeah, it's not that good. But I really thoroughly enjoyed Christian Bale's performance in Amsterdam. I liked Amsterdam a lot. I thought he made the movie. He literally was the movie for me. Mike Myers was pretty funny with who's his little character that he's with there? Who's the other guy?
Michael Shannon.
Yes. Their characters were funny. They had the one scene at the end there that's like, pretty popular afterwards. And like I said, like watching it the first time through from a simple-minded man, I was like, oh, this movie kind of rocks. And then I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I can see it. But yeah, Christian Bale's just too good in that movie for me to hate it too much. So I'll put that up.
I didn't hate it. I expected a lot more.
That's fair. That's totally fair. I went in with absolutely zero expectations. I was just like, wow, this is a good cast. And then that was it. It's
another movie that I will be checking out soon. It's on HBO Max now. So I'll be able to check it out in short order.
My number 9 is a thriller out of Australia called The Stranger. Joel Edgerton and Sean Harris, who you might know as the bad guy in the Mission Impossible movies, the redhead that is just an absolute psychopath. They're in it. Really interesting thriller because it doesn't really go out of its way to remind you that it's a thriller. It doesn't have these real moments of like shock in it, but I felt that the tension was built up very well throughout the course of the movie. The two of them, Edgerton and Sean Harris, are phenomenal in the movie, and it's based on a true story, which is one of the interesting things. It's actually based on a real kidnapping that happened in Australia in the early 2000s. So just sort of this whole build up behind it. I think it's a really interesting movie, well acted, well written, and it looks beautiful. I think the cinematography in it is great.
Did you watch this one, Nunez?
I have not. I hadn't heard of it until Mark mentioned it like the other day.
Yeah, okay. I heard it mentioned on a podcast like 2 months ago, and they like briefly talked about it, and I was like, yeah, that sounds kind of interesting. And then I saw that it was on Netflix, so I gave it a watch. But
because I like watching it, for me, I was like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like the first 35 minutes, where I'm like, what are we doing here? What is this? But I mean, yes, you're right. Once you get that, and the build to the end is pretty good though. So yeah.
All right, number 9 for me is The Banshees of Inisherin. One of my most recent watches here as we're plumbing down towards award season. And I don't want to get into like issues I have with movies on this kind of a podcast. That's not really the thing. Mark and I'm sure we'll talk about the movie a little bit more in depth as we come closer to Oscar season. But what I will say positively about The Banshees of Inisherin, and obviously it made this list. It's a movie that I genuinely very much enjoyed. I watch a lot of movies. So if you're one of the 10 movies that I thought were one of the 10 best movies of the year, it's a good movie in my opinion. So Banshees of Inisherin, positives, right? It looks beautiful. It is one of the best looking movies of the year. The Irish countryside looks absolutely fantastic.
Gorgeous.
In it. The movie is very sharply written in that Martin McDonagh dry humor kind of way. Did I find it nearly as funny as a couple of the other movies? Not gut-bustingly funny, but I thought it was very consistently entertaining, and I was always interested in watching what these characters were doing. And having watched the movie now a couple days ago, I do think of it more fondly than I did even immediately after watching it. And yeah, I think it's an exciting turn. I think it asks. It's an interesting observation piece. Basically, it's more about the existential questions regarding human behavior and friendships and whatnot, rather than having some like actual stakes to it. And I thought it was just fascinating watching these characters navigate this very small scale situation that they were involved in. And I really enjoyed it. This is my number 9 movie of the year.
Nice. I number 8 for me, you mentioned it earlier, Zach. It's Jackass Forever. Just a totally wholesome, fun movie. Not much to say about it. Just a good ride. Went there drunk in the theater with a couple of boys
Attaboy.
and sobered up and got through it. But it was a
Yeah.
fun one. It was a good one.
The Jackass movies forever will have a place in my heart, no pun intended.
Yep.
And some of there's a couple of gags in the movie that I wish I could remember off the top of my head, but I vividly remember there being moments in the film that are like the hardest I laughed at any movie this year without question, like zero question whatsoever.
Yeah, I especially I'm glad that the whole drunk thing, I had to piss right at the end for that carousel of puking, which was always nice for me. The puke is tough for me.
The my number 8 is a movie I kind of expected to hate when I heard it was coming out. And then it got a lot of hype that I still didn't buy into. And then I caught it on HBO one night at like midnight, and I ended up really liking it. And that's Elvis. I'll just say, Tom Hanks, retire. You're done.
Oh,
I can't do it with Tom Hanks anymore. He doesn't make good. He's not good anymore. He was awful.
He's not good anymore. Can we let's pause.
That's not true. I'm exaggerating. Clearly, it's Tom Hanks. He can do whatever he wants. Okay. Tom Hanks, stop doing movies where you have to do a weird accent that gets in the way and isn't believable at all. Because
that's fair.
He's not good in this movie. I'm just throwing that out there. Everything else I think is great. And I've never been a huge Baz Luhrmann guy. I kind of like The Great Gatsby. But outside of that, never really been one of my favorites. Austin Butler is fantastic in this movie. I think Baz Luhrmann actually was the perfect guy to direct this. With all the pomp and circumstance of a guy like Elvis, Luhrmann's directorial style really fits in well with the movie. I expected to not like this. I expected it to be bad, and it was a very pleasant surprise, and I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Nice. That is eventual Best Actor winner, Austin Butler.
He's great.
Anyways, number 8 for me is X. I have not seen Ty West's other films. When I went and saw this earlier this year, I was treated to one of the best horror experiences I had in the movies this year, especially given Texas Chainsaw Massacre was one of my favorite horror films ever. The obvious tributes from X to Texas Chainsaw were a lot of fun, but I think more importantly, what strikes me about the way that this film is made and the way that it's written, and specifically with Pearl having been released and Maxine to be released this upcoming year, is that Ty West not only knows how to make a good and fun horror movie, he's very, very well versed not only in just like cinema history, but in the history of horror as a genre. There's a moment in X where the characters sit down and talk about pornography as art, basically. And whether or not it's exploitation or art, it's an entire sequence in the film. And I'm quite the easy. I noticed it almost immediately. I may have mentioned it on the podcast before, but one of the final assignments I did when we were at Oswego was in my one of my political science classes, and I wrote a paper about the specifically about the rape revenge subgenre of horror, but the large portion of the first part of that paper was all about the history of the genre. And it's very clear to me that Ty West has read Men, Women, and Chainsaws by Carol J. Clover, because the entire movie is an inversion of horror tropes, whether that be the idea that sex gets you killed inevitably, which obviously does play itself out in the movie, but in a way that the villain is an inversion of that normal horror villain in that way. And the final girl, that idea is an inversion in this movie of the way that it's been played in horror. And not to mention, just outside of like all the subversive nature of it, which I do think is there, the movie's a shit ton of fun. It's so much fun.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
The kills are gory. They're a lot of fun. There's some really funny moments in the movie. You get to see Kid Cudi's dong, and it's absolutely massive. Like,
it has to be fake. There is no way that thing is 2.5 feet long.
It's unbelievable. Josh said he watched the movie and he didn't even notice it.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know how I missed it, because I went back and,
it's unmistakable. Like, it is
magnificent. This is the perfect lead-in for me, Zach. I don't know if you're wrapped up.
Yeah. I mean, I'll have more to talk about this movie, because spoiler alert, I have seen Pearl. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. I will absolutely be talking about it later in this episode.
Well, you really sold it for me, because my 7 is X, and so all I'll say for this is new upstart, heartthrob in the world, Jenna Ortega, respectfully. Mia Goth, respectfully, and finally, Brittany Snow, respectfully. My God, I mean, what did I send into the group chat? I mean,
I don't know if we want to repeat it.
I won't. It's all right. But respectfully, yes, of course.
Respectfully, Kid Cudi. I mean, if we're
fuck it. Respectfully, Stephen Ure. I believe that's
respectfully, Dollar Store Matthew McConaughey. What the hell is his name?
I don't know his
Martin,
name. That was the first thing I sent in the group chat when I started watching. Was I'm sure this movie is good. It would be so much better if it was actually just Matthew McConaughey.
That was part of it was an addendum to my review that I wrote on Letterboxd. I wrote, "Are we sure that Lance isn't played by Matthew McConaughey? Are we certain of that? Because I'm not."
It might have been. It's very McConaughey.
It is so McConaughey and Dallas Buyers Club without the AIDS. Yep. Like it's so that,
I think he's wearing the same hat.
Yeah, mixed with it's the look of the Dallas Buyers Club character with the personality of his character in Dazed and Confused.
Exactly.
There you go.
You done, Josh?
Yeah, I'm good. Respectfully, okay. Brittany Snow, that's it.
My number 7 is Scream. I recently watched this. The original Scream is my favorite horror movie. I love the Scream franchise. This movie rules. It was everything I wanted a modern day Scream reboot, sequel, whatever to be. And it was as meta as the original. It was more meta than the original, actually, because they implement, all the things with the movies made about the ghost face killings and all that stuff. It's more meta than the original. It's just as funny. Neve Campbell's great. Courtney Cox is great. Seeing them come back. I loved everything about this movie. I can't wait for Scream 6, especially because, let's see if I have it here. I do. Especially, they're taking it to New York, like the classic, Jason Takes Manhattan and stuff like that. But what I'm looking forward to is, it seems like it's based on this comic, which is called Maniac of New York. And it's the idea that there's been this serial killer in New York for a long time, and everyone's just used to it. He's been there for like a year and a half, and he just keeps murdering people. And everyone's like, "Oh yeah, there was another killing today. 34 more dead. Can you believe it?" All right, back to weather. And it's like that's sort of how it's covered. I think they could take it in a direction like that. I'm so excited to see it. I love Scream.
Yeah, I love Scream as well. It's another movie that I saw opening weekend, packed house. Went with my dad, my sister, my grandmother. We all went together and watched Scream. It was a hoot and a holler. We had a great time at the cinema. Loved it. It was one of those like last cuts on my honorable mentions.
Yeah.
I had a great time watching. Number 7 for me is a movie that technically didn't come out in 2022. It premiered at Venice and a couple other film festivals in 2021. But as far as I know, the theatrical release wasn't until January of this year. And I will never forget the confusion that I had seeing the trailer for this movie the first time. It was when I saw Parallel Mothers, which, addendum to last year's episode, is one of like the 3 best movies of 2021. When I went and saw that in the theaters at shout out to Criterion Cinema in New Haven, Connecticut. Went and saw it there. I saw a trailer for a movie called Sundown. And what I saw in that trailer was a picture of Tim Roth sitting on the beach with the sound of some waves going over the back of him. And I knew that Charlotte Gainsbourg was in the movie. And that's it. And you know what I said? I said, I'm going to watch that movie. So I saw it without knowing a single thing about it. And it is it's at the same time a very frustrating viewing and also one of the most like interesting portraits of nihilism that you'll see in film. Effectively, it's a movie about Tim Roth, who is on vacation with Charlotte Gainsbourg and a couple of teenagers. I won't explain their relationship because I didn't know their relationship going into the movie. I couldn't quite tell. You don't really find out until like an hour in. Anyways, they're on vacation in Acapulco in Mexico, and Charlotte Gainsbourg, they get a call that tragedy has befallen back home. So they leave to go back home, and Tim Roth forgets his passport at the hotel. So they leave, and he stays back to get his passport, but instead he fucks off to a seedy town on the beach, has an affair with a Mexican woman, and drinks a lot of Corona. And it is one of the most interesting portraits of malaise that you'll ever see. You see this man's life disintegrate before your very eyes. I wrote something to the effect when I reviewed it that in a very similar way. I mean, the movie is directed by Michel Franco, who is in all of his films has a lot to say about class in Mexico in particular. And that's very much on display, whether it be between the resort that they're initially at and the town that he stays at, or even the fact that while he's just sitting around on the beach or while things are happening that seem very serene, there's now sudden bursts of unbelievably graphic violence that just kind of pop out almost like a horror film to remind you that you're not escaping this world. And the problem that I think most people would have with the movie is that it doesn't quite tell you anything. You just kind of watch this guy fuck about for an hour and 20 minutes or so until some bad things happen to him and he doesn't seem to care. Plenty of bad things happen to him, actually, and he doesn't seem to care. There's some strange, like, magical realism elements in the film that I wasn't expecting that aren't ever explained. And then the ending of the film truly pulls the rug out and gives further context for the way that his character is acting. But even then, with the context, although it does make sense, like rationally, it doesn't make sense in the sense of figuring out why this movie happened in the first place. And it's I think it's the movie I've seen this year that I've thought the most about. It's a movie that, although I've only watched it once, I saw it in theaters almost a year ago at this point, I haven't stopped thinking about it. It's a movie that's fascinated me since I've seen it. And I'm interested in watching it again now that it's on Hulu, I think now. I believe it's on streaming services. I'm interested in watching it again so I can see, what kind of things I can pull from it now that I have the context of that ending. But it's arguably the most interesting and intricate to pull apart movie, even though not much intricate happens. during the movie.
I'm going to watch this. You pitched it to us in our group chat, and you were like, I don't know if you guys might hate it. It sounds like something I would love. So I'm excited to watch it.
I at the very least, even if I don't like love it emotionally like I do the other movies on this list, I'm so glad that it's something that I watched and something that I sought out to go see, and I paid money to go see it. And I feel like in some way, shape, or form, it's enriched my film going experience. And for that reason alone, I'm very happy to recommend it to people and to have it on this list. Yeah.
Josh?
Yeah. Sorry. My bad. You already said it earlier, Banshees of Inisherin, and I really appreciated that film. I liked it a lot. It was yeah, Inisherin. It's a good song. I liked the little movie there. This was my Oscar movie. Tried to find one that might get some buzz, so I made sure to watch this. And all I'll say to add to it is that Brendan Gleeson, right? That's his name. Brendan Gleeson. His threats to Colin Farrell throughout the movie are probably my favorite part of them. The subtle, dark humor. Really put the icing on the cake for me. So I like that movie. That's
Josh, I urge you to check out Martin McDonagh's other films as well.
They're all great.
Okay. What would be the best name thing that I might know him and might know from him?
In Bruges and 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
In Bruges was his real breakthrough with Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson. It's fantastic. I would also recommend Seven Psychopaths.
Seven Psychopaths is always great.
Rules.
He hasn't missed. Martin McDonagh does not miss.
Wow. 3 Billboards is certainly his like most dramatic turn.
I wanted to watch that movie the year 27. That Oscar.
It's excellent. Year. It's one of the best movies that year. That year.
Number 6 for me is another one that was a very pleasant surprise. It is a franchise movie. It's a franchise that's been so up and down in its history, and that's Prey. I watched it and I was like, that was pretty good. And then I thought about it, and everything about it really it stuck out to me. I feel like my biggest negative for the movie is I don't love the modern Predator design. Like, I just sort of liked the old design better, but it makes sense that this design would be different because it's a different era of Predator. It takes place, it's set in the Comanche Nation, so it's not the Predator that we saw in '86 or anything like that. This movie is really, really cool, and I love the way that they, used obviously, all Native American cast and stuff like that that are playing Native Americans or non-natives in it. The all Native American cast, the fact that you can watch it in full Comanche, I think is very cool.
That's really cool.
I did end up doing that afterwards. I watched it in English first, and then I went back and rewatched it in Comanche, which you can even just watch it in the full Comanche if you want. I think it's awesome that they did that. And so, but outside of the cultural impact, it's just a really good Predator movie. The action in it is great. It's just as gory as you want a Predator movie to be. They do not pull any punches. And the main character, I'm blanking on her name right now. I think she's great. The way she takes down the Predator at the end, spoiler alert, the Predator always loses. But the way she takes down the Predator at the end, I think is so ingenuitive for the setting of the movie, and it fits in so well. I hope they do more with the Predator franchise like this, because I think it has the potential to be a really great franchise, because the first one is excellent. And I think this might be my new favorite Predator movie.
I will say that if Fox is going to keep doing this, someone needs to make a plea to the mouse to put these movies in theaters.
Yes, please.
Absolute disservice.
This should have been seen in theaters.
They just dumped it on Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
Good movie though. I did really enjoy my time watching it. Number 6 for me. You talk about franchise. You want to talk about blockbusters. You want to talk about movies that are taking taking the United States taking America by storm this year. That's Top Gun Maverick, man. That's another movie. I went and saw it with my mom. Top Gun's one of her favorite movies. She cried a bunch while we were watching it. And Top Gun Maverick, it rules. All right. I don't even know what to say about it, because like I think the original Top Gun is fine. And I usually think like action movies like this are fine. But there's something about this as a theatrical experience, as a movie-going experience, that was so exhilarating. And there was so much care put into the technical craft behind it in particular. Is the movie overwrought? Sure. Are there moments where there's the moment where the two enemies in the movie, they nod at each other and have a handshake as a sign of respect at the very end after the guy does the thing that the villain said he couldn't do? Sure, absolutely. That's a thing that happens in the movie. Are the actual villains in the movie quite literally nameless? Yes, they don't even mention, they're just terrorists. They're quote unquote terrorists that they're trying to take out. But it's exhilarating. It's fun. The action is awesome in a way that all modern Tom Cruise movies are. They put the camera in the plane. They put the camera in the plane. They did the thing. John Williams did the music. I mean, what the hell are we doing here? It was such a fun experience. And it's not the one that I can't say much about. People
Josh,
like the movie. Everyone loves the movie.
Josh, I don't want to skip you here. It's my number 5. I watched it today. I finally got around to seeing Top Gun Maverick.
This is the first time?
Yes, I watched it today for the first time. This movie is sick.
Dude,
everything you just said is so true. Like they put the camera in the plane. Like it's But I thought the enemies being nameless was hilarious because that's such an 80s action movie thing to do.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
like it fits so perfectly. It's stunning, absolutely stunning.
And no one ever questions it either. They're like when they're like, "Oh, the enemy's doing that," and they're like, "Well, we gotta stop them." And like without saying it, it's fantastic.
No one goes, "Well, who is it?"
Yeah,
terrorists. Okay, but where are they from? Are we talking? Are they Russian or
terrorist town?
Yeah, exactly.
They're from terrorist town.
Sure. Then we bomb the terrorists.
I loved it. I just wanted to watch it today. Like that's why I was getting so excited hearing you talk about it because I'm still hyped up from watching Top Gun.
Yeah, the movie kicks ass.
It does. It really does.
Josh, what's your number 5? As we're getting into the upper half.
My number 5, it's just a bottleneck of fun. The whole movie, it kind of sets up for a second one. A wild cameo at the end of it that he actually isn't on screen, just his picture. It's Bullet Train. It's just fun from start to finish. It's very fast paced. It kind of keeps your heart rate up the entire time. And the witty dialogue between Brad Pitt and Lemon and Tangerine in it's pretty fun. And I was a little bummed at the action. The action itself was kind of meh in terms of the fighting scenes on there, but really, really fun movie. Just fun movie.
That's another movie that I'm excited to watch now that it's on Netflix. I didn't get the chance to see it when it was in theaters, and I still haven't watched it, but I've heard that it's a hoot. It's an absolute hoot. And I'm excited to watch it for sure. My number 5 is another one of these. This is my last entry in the franchise variety here on the list, and that is a movie that proves that the man behind this, one Matt Reeves, is the master of blockbuster auteur cinema. That's the Batman, number 5. There really aren't any bad things I can say about this movie. It is arguably the best on-screen adaptation of Gotham City, of its villains, of the way that the city operates and feels lived in. And when I mention blockbuster auteur cinema, it was so important that this movie had such a distinct style to it. both visually and narratively. Having it be a 3-hour-long detective film that happened to have had a guy in a bat suit in it, made it so much better. And Paul Dano is genuinely like unnerving as the Riddler in the movie. And like I said, I love the visual style of it. I think most importantly, like the cinematography is beautiful. The fact that the entire movie takes place at night is such an important thing for a story like this. The sound design in the movie, for the love of God, when you first see Robert Pattinson walk out as Batman, and you just hear these hulking, almost like stomping footsteps. It's such a perfect adaptation of, and I really, really hate doing comparisons like this. I really do. The Dark Knight is a better movie. This is the best adaptation of a Batman thing in live action that I have seen. The Dark Knight is a better film. This is a better Batman movie. This right here, this is Batman to me. Like this is what it is. It was such an exciting watch. I'm so excited to see what they do moving forward. What I really hope for moving forward, if they continue to do more Batman films with Robert Pattinson and Matt Reeves working together, is that we pull in some more, not even necessarily more obscure villains, but I want some different. The thing I did not like about the Batman was the integration of the Joker at the very end.
Barry Keoghan, yeah.
I didn't like the thought process behind it. I didn't like the execution of it, and I didn't like the rationale that you could use to defend it, really, or the reason that it would be in the movie. What I want them to build on this mystery horror kind of thing. Like my dream is that for the next movie, the Scarecrow is the villain.
Oh yes.
I would love to see the Scarecrow in this universe. I would love to see some other shit. Like I want to see what an adaptation of like Mr. Freeze in this universe would be like.
That's the one for me.
You know?
Oh yes.
I would love to see how they do Mr. Freeze. Another one that I think would be cool too, just because it starts to get in the little weirder side of Batman villains, but I think it could be done in this universe. Give me Clayface.
Yeah, something like Clayface would be awesome.
Clayface would be so cool to see in that, because the way I'll talk about this movie more, but the way that, you know, this movie used like practical effects for Colin Farrell as like the Penguin, if you could get some weird practical like Clayface suit and then just make it absolutely disgusting, I think it could be such a cool look in a movie like that.
Yeah, and I mean that's such an important part about it, is like the integration of like, you know, the crime part of it, you know, with the Penguin and all that stuff, is like it made it feel so much more lived in. Is that in that like the Penguin isn't really that much of an integral part of the movie.
No.
But he's there, and it's very important that he's there. Yeah, I would love to see. I want to see more about with all of this. I want to see, you know, what if we got the ventriloquist as a villain in one of these movies? What if we got Victor Zsasz as a
just a psychopathic serial killer,
right?
Yeah.
Like, what if we got that? There's so much possibility with this version of the Batman. Not to even mention the fact that the movie itself is awesome. Like it's what like
it doesn't need to be a Batman movie.
I loved it. I really did. I there's not really anything bad I can say about it. It's the best like franchise blockbuster thing that I saw this year, if you even want to call it that. I love it.
Yeah, well, it's my 4. Mark. Yeah, I mean that's not it was great. I liked it.
My 4 is another one that I watched recently, and I know neither of you have seen it yet. But Josh, you were saying the action in Bullet Train was a little underwhelming. Maybe the best action in a movie this year was RRR. I also just watched this one earlier this week. This it's amazing. I see why it got all of the hype when it first came out. Everyone was talking about it. It really is amazing. The action is so well done. It's a little long. The fact that it's 3 hours, it's a little long for a movie like that.
I remember I told you, because like I said earlier, I went on a kick to try and get as many as I could, and I opened it up and I saw it was 3 hours, and I was like, yeah, no, I can't. I gotta. I mean, I can watch 2
Another
movies.
movie that I've heard is an absolute delight.
It is. It's an absolute delight. And I'm not even saying the runtime is a problem, because I don't think it is. Once you're watching it, you don't even think about it. It moves at a clip. It's not a problem at all. It's just sort of hard when you see the 3-hour thing and it's like, okay, I've got to commit to this action movie from India that, might not really be your thing normally.
Is it subtitled or dubbed or okay?
It's tremendous. Everyone in it is great. The action direction is fantastic. I would recommend this movie to anybody, especially someone who likes a good action movie.
Yeah, I'm very excited to watch it.
So,
I've heard nothing but great things, and I'm very excited.
To clarify, sorry, is it a dubbing or is it like?
No, it's subtitles.
It's subtitled.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember the exact.
I don't know if there is a dub of it. I watched subtitled.
Gotcha.
I was just making sure that I got the language right. It's in Bengali.
Yes.
Oh. Well, I was going to sound like a fool saying you had to listen to some Hindi for 3 hours.
No, it is not in Hindi.
Yeah, it's in Bengali.
Number 4 for me is one of the next 2 movies that are going to focus on performances here, but this is going to focus on performance in franchise building, and that's Pearl, the expected prequel to X that focuses on said villain from X, titular, in a way that provides a ton of context to the character while also not directly tying into the film. They are very, very, very separate. While X reads as a mix of pornography and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Pearl reads more like the most fucked up version of the Wizard of Oz you've ever seen in your life. What
a pitch.
It's not a musical, for whatever that's worth. It is not that in style, but in visual look, the movie is so bright, and there is so much color in it. The movie takes place almost entirely, if I remember correctly, in the daytime, as a very specific choice by Ty West. So there's a moment where there's an argument over a dinner, where it is nighttime and it's thundering and lightning, but you can see out the windows that it's almost like that 1930s like shaking paper that has lines on it, thunder and lightning kind of thing. It's such a measured choice to tribute films of that time period rather than the horror films of the 70s, while also telling the story about one of the most interesting characters in horror recently, including one of the best horror performances ever by Mia Goth. And I mean that in no uncertain terms. It's very clear now that we've heard that they were writing this movie as they were filming X. And at the time of making this movie, Ty West approached Mia Goth about contributing to the writing of this film. These two are so well locked in tune with what this character and Maxine, who is her character in X, or one of her characters in X, what these two mean and how similar they are. You learn that in some very interesting ways in Pearl. It's a movie that I think truly stylistically needs to be seen to be believed, and it has arguably the best scene of the year, one of the best displays of acting of the year, a 12-minute unbroken monologue that is just a slowly inching close-up of Mia Goth's face. That it is truly a marvel. And I will say, Pearl as a character and Mia Goth's portrayal of her is one of the most unnerving smiles in horror history.
I was going to say, the only thing I've seen of this movie is the credits.
So that's the thing. When I was watching it, that was the scariest part of the movie to me. Yeah. The credits roll, and it's the end of the film. The credits just start rolling over it. But there's no freeze frame or anything. It's just a continuous shot of Pearl just like staring at the camera,
Mhm.
and her smile and her facial expression just gets more demented and unnerving as the credits roll. Like it's the last 20 minutes are an unbelievable display of acting on Mia Goth's part. Like it's truly something you need to see if you're even like remotely interested in something like this. And the third film of this weird trilogy is coming out this upcoming year. I'm excited.
It's a sequel, I'm assuming. To
Yes,
X?
so it takes place in the 80s, a few years after X,
Mhm.
where Maxine, her character, has fled from the events and takes her talents out to Los Angeles to become the big porn star that she wanted to be. That is Maxine, and that'll be coming out at some point in 2023. It doesn't have a release date or a teaser or anything like that, but what Ty West and Mia Goth have done, the two of them together with these two films in particular, is something entirely singular and an absolute marvel of modern horror filmmaking. It's fantastic. I recommend anybody watch it.
Excellent. My three here. Nobody's seen it. I don't think so. And this one's weird, but you gotta like the guy to like the movie. And it's weird. The Al Yankovic story.
Weird.
Yeah. It's fun, dude. Like this movie was so much fun. I even got the lady friend to watch it with me. Like she was into it, and she doesn't know Weird Al stuff. She was like, "Oh, this is crazy!" Like Daniel Radcliffe's in it. The only part that makes no sense, but also I guess makes sense for Al, is that like Radcliffe does such a good job of portraying him and what you'd think he'd be, but then all the songs are in Weird Al's voice, which like I guess makes sense, but
He
it's
re-recorded all of them for the movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like they're all dubbed over. It's weird, but I mean, the story of telling his life as a parody of his life is just fantastic to me. Like it was a boatload of fun. And if you like any of the songs, the stupid song, I mean, the dumbest of songs, then you're gonna love it. It's a fun movie.
I'm excited to watch that strictly because I heard Conan O'Brien is Andy Warhol, and that's something I need to see.
Yeah.
My number 3, Nunez, you mentioned, it's the Batman. I didn't jump in a lot, but this movie is amazing, and I think I like it better than The Dark Knight. This is a movie I will go back to rewatch more than The Dark Knight. I would probably agree with you that The Dark Knight is a better film. Robert Pattinson's a better Batman. Heath Ledger obviously is the Joker, but I think Robert Pattinson is probably going to be the best live screen Batman we see. This was finally an adaptation of a Batman story that we've never seen before, which is strange because Batman is the world's greatest detective, and you never see him be a detective. It blows my mind. It takes from The Long Halloween, which is arguably the greatest Batman comic ever written. It's probably my favorite Batman comic, aside of that or The Killing Joke. But everything about it is just so amazing. And I kind of wish that it didn't take a little bit from The Long Halloween, because I would have loved to see these two just do a straight up Long Halloween adaptation, because I think that in this universe would be amazing. And this is, somewhat of that, but and yet the Joker thing at the end is weird. I agree with you. I think Barry Keoghan might end up being a good Joker. I think it's interesting the way they did the scarring on the face, and I didn't love the laugh, but hey, maybe it'll get better. I'm so excited for this universe moving forward. Colin Farrell is going to have his own show as the Penguin coming to HBO Max.
Oh, hell yes.
At some point, I think that's going to be 8 episodes. I can't wait for that. And I loved his portrayal as the Penguin because he's not the villain. I think the Penguin works when he's more of like just this gangster guy.
Yeah.
That's just around, and he's like, "Hey, I'm the Penguin."
I would say he's like Danny DeVito. He's like, I gave her the old flip a trick.
Yeah, like that's one of the reasons I don't love Batman Returns is because the Penguin to me doesn't normally make a great main villain unless you're doing like a small story like in the animated series or something.
Yeah.
But for a movie like this, the fact that the Penguin is just sort of a guy, and I just rewatched the Batman a couple weeks ago. I think maybe my favorite scene is when Jeffrey Wright as Gordon and Batman are are interrogating the Penguin in the rain after the big chase, and they're like holding him up against the thing. He's like, "Yeah, what? Neither you speak Spanish? It's El Rata Lata. No, it's La Rata, La Rata. You fucking idiots!" And he's just going off about how neither of them know Spanish. Like, okay, but it's fantastic. I love everything about this movie. Outside of the Joker thing, I think that might be the only thing I change about this movie. It's damn near perfect.
Yeah, number 3 for me is one of the best performances of the year. In one of the best directorial turns of the year, and that's Todd Field making his first directorial feature in 17 years, returning after Little Children from 2005 or whatever it was, with Tar this year. It's one of the most interesting character studies that you'll see in its presentation, in that it's almost basically a biopic about a not real person who happens to have plenty of life parallels to one. Give me 1 second here. What's the name of the?
Yeah,
guy?
I thought this was a biopic.
It is not. Lydia Tarr is not a real person.
Yeah, I for some every time I've heard someone talk about the movie, they just made it sound like Lydia Tarr was a real person.
Yeah. Well,
So
I mean, it's to the point where the movie starts and she's being interviewed at like one of those like lecture interview things by a real New York Times reporter. And he is going on and on about like all of these accomplishments that she has. And it's like one of the most interesting exposition dumps you'll see. But the movie has so much to say about name of the composer, by the way, that is such an integral part to the film is Gustav Mahler. If you watch the film, you'll hear a lot about music theory and you'll hear a lot about him. And in many ways, her character reflects his life in that way. And it's sort of a story about the classical music world, the way that power is treated in that world, the way some abuse that power, and not only that, but the way that the world has changed to reflect that. I have heard people say that it's a movie about cancel culture, which I didn't quite understand going into the movie, and I only like slightly more understand coming out of the movie. It is a movie about someone who at some point faces repercussions for abuses of power. That is true. But it's more so to do with a facade that this character has built that is based on a music culture from a couple of centuries ago, and how this character has to reckon with the fact that in 2022, these worlds are very different. Kate Blanchett is mesmerizing, is every nice word that you could say about a performance possibly. It is one of the most interesting films I saw this year. Again, I think it's particularly worth supporting in the film community because it's a director like Todd Field who only makes films so seldomly. He's like Jonathan Glazer in that way, and like he'll make a movie a decade, but like that movie will just be a masterpiece. That a movie like this that is framed as a biopic about a not real person that doesn't really have like major conflict in it, that also happens to be 3 hours long, is something you don't see in movies nowadays. And on top of that, it's excellent. I would absolutely recommend that people see it.
Nice. My 2 here is Hustle. This movie was great. This was in one of the late watches. First off, it's an Adam Sandler movie. It was almost immediately on my one. It's an Adam Sandler serious movie. He takes a serious role again. His wife in the movie is Queen Latifah, which I didn't know going in, and I was like, Queen Latifah. Okay, okay. Um, it's such like knowing Adam Sandler too. It's such a passion project for his love of basketball and like
Mhm.
hip hop and rap. Like the entire soundtrack rocks. He's awesome in it. Every NBA player who's in it is awesome. Outside of Anthony Edwards, I might just not like him anymore because of the villain he plays in the movie. He's
And
no
the
longer.
homophobia.
Well, yeah. Sorry, forgot. He's up there with Liam Neeson. Bad guys. Coincidentally enough, they wouldn't get along at all.
No.
Yeah. So Hustle's great though. The story's awesome. It's kind of predictable, yeah, but it's a good story and it's Adam Sandler and I absolutely loved it. So can't say enough good things.
My number two, both of you had it on your list as well. It's the Banshees of Inisherin. I adored this movie. I went into it expecting it to be a lot more, laugh out loud funny based on the, Martin, like I was thinking more In Bruges because of Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson, Martin McDonagh. It isn't that. It is incredibly entertaining. Brendan Gleeson, give him all of the Oscars humanly possible. I think he's amazing in this movie. Same with Colin Farrell. Barry Keoghan, we were just talking about as the Joker. He's great. It's everyone is fantastic. It's such a gorgeous movie, and I watched it a week ago, maybe a little more. All I've done since is listen to Irish music. It's all I was watching that movie and I picked up my guitar and started strumming "If I Ever Leave This World Alive" by Flogging Molly. Like maybe it's just the fact that I have like slightly too much pride in an Irish heritage that takes up less than half of my bloodline. But I felt comfortable watching this movie. Everything about it I loved. I loved it.
We're gonna talk about movies that make you feel comfortable. Number two for me is a movie that made me feel comfortable, made me feel like I wasn't alone, and also scared the living shit out of me, in the best like emotional way possible, and that is your 2022 Sundance Charmer of the Year, baby. That is Cha Cha Real Smooth. Cooper Raiff is an absolute fucking star. And I haven't seen his directorial debut, Shithouse, which did come out. I believe it was Sundance 2020.
What a name for a first movie.
It's a movie about a guy who finds an unlikely relationship at a frat that's called Shithouse. And this movie is a couple years removed from that. A movie about a guy who's like 23 who just graduated from college. And is going through the quarteriest of quarter life crises, who strikes up an unlikely relationship with a Dakota Johnson lady named Domino, who's in her 30s, and her autistic daughter. It is heartwarming. It's funny. It is romantic in some ways.
Garrett.
And in some ways, it is the existential nightmare that I didn't know that I needed. Because I felt while watching this movie was screaming at me, as a fellow person in their early 20s who's recently graduated college and doesn't know what to do with their lives. Will I become a paid party starter at bar mitzvahs? No. But will I stumble into the graduate-like relationship with a woman in her mid-30s? Maybe. But,
hell yes, dude. Hell yes.
But what I did feel when I was watching this movie, legitimately, I felt as though that this was a movie made to remind people like me, that not only am I not alone in the way that this goes, just reminding that a lot of the message of the movie is telling people like myself, people like us, people like that's our age, just fucking live a little bit and figure it out later. And I watched this a couple weeks ago, and I was over the moon really watching it. It's such a fun time. It's like it would be a really great hangout movie again as like a rom-com. It's genuinely very funny. Cooper Raiff, like it's a part of it is a lot of hubris, right? Like he wrote the movie, he directed the movie, he stars in it. That's been the case for both of his first two films. And you can tell that not only is he the center of it, it is very much, I would assume, a lot autobiographical in those kinds of ways, at least conceptually and as characters. But his next film, by the way, I'm very excited about because it's taken a diversion from the
Shithouse 2 Dookie Tours.
taking a diversion from like the early 20s coming of age stuff, and he's also not starring in it. His next movie is called The Trashers, and I don't know if you're familiar with the story of the Danbury Trashers and the Galante crime family. But is a movie about that starring David Harbour and Cooper Hoffman, son of Philip Seymour Hoffman, as the two
my king,
Galante,
my licorice pizza king.
The two Galante son and father. So I'm whenever that movie comes out, I will be one of the first in line to go see it. This guy has a really bright future, and very clearly has a knack for making some super relatable coming of age ish movies about people in their early 20s with no direction. And it was a great experience.
Mark, as someone who never saw Licorice Pizza, is Cooper Hoffman the one who bangs the underage or the teacher?
There's no banging.
No banging. She's not.
Isn't there an underage lady? Or he's an underage male.
He's underage. Yeah. He's 17. She's 25. But it's not a sexual relationship.
Oh, that's it. I thought it was much older. But is it Cooper Hoffman?
Yes, it's Cooper Hoffman.
Respect. So my number one movie of the year is brought to you by Jersey Mike's. At Jersey Mike's, we offer a sub above, one that's measured in more than inches or seconds till served. We carefully consider every aspect of what we do, every slice, every sandwich, every store. We provide our customers with sustenance and substance too. Jersey Mike's, a sub above. I don't know if anyone's realized Greece just got a Jersey Mike's. I am a Jersey Mike's stan. Yes. I am their biggest fan. I went twice yesterday. Mark, I believe you know my fandom. I absolutely love Jersey Mike's. I would kill for Jersey Mike's. I fucking love it.
We got one here in Syracuse recently too.
Yeah, you should go. You should embrace it, and it's the next Subway. Buy stock now. Jersey Mike's is sub above. So this is brought to you by that, and this is it's already been said. It's the summer's number one blockbuster. It's nostalgia to the max. Within the first 30 seconds, I kind of didn't want to go see it. I'm like, it's going to be dumb. It's a stupid movie. Top Gun Maverick, first 30 seconds, the highway into the danger zone hits. They're fucking running off the aircraft carrier. Your nuts are getting in your face. I mean, you just feel it. You got stone. I mean, it's just great. It's just a great feel. The ending makes no goddamn sense. They should have just died. I'd have been okay with them just dying. Like if Tom Cruise just died, I'd be like, you know what? That makes sense. But now I'm like, fuck it. Give me 6 Top Guns. I don't care. Let's run it up. Mission Impossible 2. Let's run this thing up. You think it's crazy to see him jump out of a plane? Let's see him fly these motherfuckers until he dies in one. Okay? I want him to be the well, I don't want, but you know, if he was the next on set crash, Tom Cruise dead, it makes sense. It feels like he should die in a B-52 somewhere, fucking just screening Top Gun. Better yet, practicing for Top Gun, not even being screened. Let's fucking do it. Top Gun Maverick rocked. Rooster's great. I got a viral TikTok out of it.
That's true.
You did. That's right.
That's true. Mark, I know you and I have the same number one. That is Everything Everywhere All at Once. The movie that I can only describe really as a marvel of modern filmmaking.
It's amazing.
It's a movie that so seamlessly combines so many genres at the same time as a emotional family story. It is a cure for nihilism in many ways. It is a movie that has multiple gags revolving butt plugs and hot dog fingers and Ratatouille. Like there.
Raccacoonie.
I'm sorry, Raccacoonie. My bad. There are like an obscene amount of references to Ratatouille in this movie for some reason.
It's so
Like,
funny.
The movie or the dish?
Yes.
No, the movie. The
movie.
visual references to Ratatouille. It's
Oh.
like 10 minutes of the movie.
Wow.
It's
so
really strange.
funny.
But Daniel's built on an already existing knack for exciting, unique filmmaking with their first feature, Swiss Army Man, which I do love. I do love. But they kicked it up about 30 notches here. It's a movie that I can't describe to many. I can't describe it. I can just say, please watch it. It is one of the most entertaining movies you will see. It's one of the most entertaining movies I've seen in years. I did not think that rocks with googly eyes glued on them would make me cry, but they did.
Me too.
I didn't think that hot dog fingers would be funny, but they are. Butt plug trophies are also really funny. And I would just like to say that, for all of your Brendan Gleeson love, Ke Huy Quan is winning Best Supporting Actor this year. And it is truly one of the coolest things to possibly see. It's a movie that
the king Ke Huy Quan
means so much legitimately could end up meaning so much for advancing cinema forward. It's like I said, it's at the same time philosophical and lowbrow. It is funny and emotional. It is action packed. The action is really good in the movie. Michelle Yeoh is the GOAT. Michelle Yeoh's the GOAT and got jobbed when Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon came out, but that's beside the point. It's one of the best experiences I've ever had in a theater. It's another one of those movies that I saw packed house opening weekend. Shout out to the Cinemark in North Haven, Connecticut. Saw that there. Literally the biggest movie theater I've ever been to in my life. And I'm willing to call it a masterpiece. I'm willing to call it a marvel of modern filmmaking in all of its silly, idiosyncratic ways. It's a movie that I will never forget and is more than deserving of me calling it the best movie of 2022.
Yeah, and a couple Stephanie Hsu as Joy, amazing. I just saw she just won some award for like best breakout star of the year. Absolutely, she was.
That'll probably be
incredible. It's like the New York
Film Critics Association or something like that. Yeah.
And she's absolutely amazing. James Hong, always great to see him. Whenever I find out he's still alive, it brings so much joy to my heart. He's great and everything. Also, shout out the naming in this movie. Waymond Wang, Deirdre Beaubeardra. That's Jamie Lee Curtis's name. Deirdre Beaubeardra. Just everything about this movie. It's easily the #1 movie of the year for me. And like you said, Ke Huy Quan will win Best Supporting Actor, and I have zero qualms with that at all. As much as I love Brendan Gleeson, Ke Huy Quan is amazing in this movie. It's so good to see him back. He was always he directed some movies, and but just to see him return to the big screen like this, and he's getting other jobs out of it. He's going to be in Loki season 2, which I am so excited for, and I just want to see this guy in movies again because he always. He was Short Round. He was in the Goonies. There's so much nostalgia attached to this guy just because of characters he played. And now we get to see him actually hopefully have, a really full acting career at this point in his life. And I just think that's amazing. And yes, as you said, Michelle Yeoh, what can you say?
Respect.
Just unbelievable.
I agree with all of those words. Mark. Josh, have you seen this movie?
I have not.
Oh, I think I heard. You have not? Okay. I give it my highest of recommendations. I'd say the movie.
Yes, please watch this movie.
Okay.
it's a movie that I can recommend to just about anybody as well. Like it's not too highbrow for your average audience. It's not too lowbrow for your film buffy kind of person.
When it
Mhm.
says
It toes that
sci-fi,
line perfectly.
is it like aliens and shit? No, just the
Multiverse
thing?
travel.
Yeah, multiverse
Yeah.
travel.
Okay,
It is a sci-fi movie. Like,
I'm in.
So
Maybe I'll
that
sit
does it.
down with a nice giant number 56 with Chipotle mayo on it, and maybe enjoy.
Yeah. I've never had Jersey Mike's before, so I
Nunez,
I haven't either.
shit you not. What are you doing tomorrow? You got time on lunch?
I'm working tomorrow. Is what I'm doing.
I'll bring it to you for lunch. We'll eat a nice Jersey Mike's sub together. I'd love to treat you to Jersey Mike's tomorrow.
Jersey Mike's, please sponsor this show.
Dude, I'm telling
if
you,
Jersey Mike's wanted to sponsor us, that would be awesome.
the merch is so cheap. I might go all in on Jersey Mike's. Jersey Mike's, Natter Days and Jersey Mike's. That's all we need, boys. Let's take us to
we
the top.
really do need Natural Light to sponsor us.
To step it up, or else we're going to Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
Yeah.
They sent out a tweet, who wants a sponsorship, and they didn't sponsor us.
Yeah, I mean, Natty Light needs to sponsor us. Otherwise, we'll leave for Bush. Okay?
Yeah.
That
Or
works
better yet,
worse.
I'll fucking kill myself. So hear me out, huh, Natter Day?
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So that does
Better
it for our best of 22 episode here. I appreciate you sticking around if you made it this far. Hopefully you got some good recommendations out of it. Unless otherwise stated, I would highly recommend all of the movies that I mentioned at the very least to anyone, as they're one of my favorites of the year. There are a couple of exceptions that we've already talked about that I think, probably require a little bit more discernment when going into it, but that's beside the point. All of these movies are great that we talked about for our own particular reasons, and I hope you check them out. I hope you enjoy that. I hope you enjoyed our conversation, and I'm hoping that we get some more great movies in 2023. Really, we didn't get to do what we did last year, Mark. If I remember correctly, we did at the end of the show. We talked about like our anticipated movies for 2022.
Yes.
Maybe we'll do a little bonus at some point soon and talk about that for next year. Who the hell knows? But in the meantime, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Hot Stove Pod. That's at Hot Stove Pod on Twitter. Here on the YouTube channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell as well to get notified when we put up new videos and go live. And also leave a comment on this video if you feel like commenting. What are your favorite movies of 2022? Did you watch any movies this year? If not, what were you doing? You didn't watch a single movie this year? That's weird.
Come on, watch
they're
movies.
probably eating
Movies are
Jersey
good.
Mike's.
Well, don't disparage.
Well, then you were doing something equally as good as watching movies.
An
Eating
honorable
a delicious
yes.
submarine sandwich from Jersey Mike's.
Yeah, but to be fair, you could be watching movies while you're eating your Jersey Mike's.
Even better.
This is true.
Yeah.
Most
So that does it for this. We will be back next week with our final episode of 2022 in the 2022 Stovey Awards. That is coming up next week, so be sure to stick around for that. And then we will ring in 2023 in style. Thank you for watching. We love you, and we will see you next time.
Yep.
Peace.